Oh, now look at this. Look at this. Hold on. The edges of Ron here are nice and sharp, but the edges of Hagrid have just a little bit of a haze because he's not actually in this shot. What's going on, everyone? Kellan Reck here. Today we're going to do a quick sort of VFX behind-the-scenes breakdown of some scenes from the Harry Potter movies. They've got some really cool effects happening throughout all 8 of them, and it's really cool to take a look at. So I have some shots here from the movies, and we're just going to look at what is going on behind the scenes in the shots, and hopefully it can help you out for creative inspiration, whatever it may be. But let's dive in and we'll check it out now. The first shot we've got, let's see this. Can you see what's going on here? So the fires are lighting along the back wall as all of the students are cheering. It's pretty cool. It looks pretty nice. There's a nice touch to it as they light up. So let's see what's going on here. Interesting. So it looks like this whole back wall is a 3D build, and then what they're doing is just using some sort of 3D fire element or some pre-filmed fire. Yep, look at this. So the fire's not even pre-filmed, it's a 3D element that's built. And then just actually, you can see this particle build here. So this is just a 3D element that's built, and then each one progressively turns on, and it adjusts the lighting on the students as it goes around. So you can see, like, in the back here, these students light up as the fires turn on. There's a light added there. So that's all done in the color correction and compositing and everything. Wow, that's pretty cool. All right, on to the next. Oh, look at this. So we've got, right here we have the staircase in one of the towers in Hogwarts. You can see what they're doing is the staircase doesn't actually go down more than basically one floor. So what they've done is they've added a green screen so that they can add multiple layers of depth to the shot here. So check this out. See if they just clear out the green screen, just key it out. What they do is it looks like they build a separate set elsewhere with the same spiral staircase. So it's built to the same round dimensions, probably just a duplicate of this set of stairs here. Totally green screen besides the inner rail, and then they have the students walk down and they can just scale it to size and drop it into that alpha layer now that's been keyed out with the green screen. And they just keep doing it. So what you see is you end up with a whole bunch of floors and, hundreds of students here, but really it's probably these students just going down multiple times, and then they can add that in each instance of the stairs down below. So it makes it look like the depth is crazy, and then they just add in their shadows and everything to give it a nice natural look. That's awesome. It looks super smooth. Okay, so here we have our 3 main characters at this boathouse. Let's see. Wow. So this is almost all digital, at least the background is. They've actually built this set, so the boathouse is really there, but everything else is green screen. Look at that. And that whole background is totally built. Look at the water. So what they do is they just add in this digital water, give it a nice lighting effect from the moonlight. Totally digital. It's pretty cool. A lot of the backgrounds in these movies, and obviously a lot of movies nowadays, are totally digitally made, but it's just crazy to see it. Okay, this is an interesting one. Look at this. So I'm just going to play this out here. So this is them adding Hagrid into the scene. So he's not actually in the initial shot. Look at this. So when we start, you go back to the very beginning, you see this blue cross that's almost built here. So that's to determine the height of Hagrid. So they're aware that he would be this tall. And obviously this is his width so that Ron doesn't walk into him and they don't overlap each other. So really in this scene is just everybody in the background and then Harry and Ron, because they're all the standard size that they are. And then what they do is they shoot Hagrid over a green screen and add him in so that they can make him look whatever the height that he needs to be is, which is the height of that blue bar. They key out the green, and you can actually tell because look, there's the edges of Ron here are nice and sharp, but the edges of Hagrid have just a little bit of a haze, which partially is coming from light that is hitting him, but a lot of that is just a little bit of an edge feathering on the green screen mask. So when they get rid of that green, it's not, because of his hair, it's not a perfect sharpness like this shot is, because Ron's actually there. So you get a little bit of a haze, and you can see that haze on Hagrid, but not so much on Ron. So that's because he's not actually in this shot. And then what they had to do, because they basically plopped Hagrid right in front, right over this shot, they had to key out or mask out Harry so that they could make it appear like Hagrid's behind. So this is, there's actually a lot of masking and everything going on in this shot, and it looks really smooth. You don't see too much going. They did a nice job masking around Harry here to put Hagrid in the background. It looks really good, and the lighting matches up pretty well. That's awesome. It's a good shot. So this is one of the shots that they use for their newspapers and everything, where they've got the moving video in the shot. It's pretty basic. Basically, they actually have the prop of the paper, and then they just have it must just be painted or printed green. And then all they have to do is key out the green. They've got these black tracker points. So the tracker points allow them to throw the new video that they're going to use here on top, 3D track it to the paper, and then it stays exactly where it's being put. And you can do this in After Effects. It's really not too tricky of an effect. See, they key out the green, put the video behind it. It's tracked to those tracker points. Then they just mask this video into the space it needs to be in right there. And obviously give it that color correct to give it the feel that it's a part of the paper. I almost think, and I guess because it's not the final here, you almost see more shadowing here on the real paper than you do in the video. They add a little bit of shadow here, but I almost want a little bit more to make that fold feel more natural. Maybe if we had the full clip on the front end, we'd see that more. But they do this a lot. Pretty basic effect. Looks really good, though. Okay, so here we have actual magic. So this is the final frame of what it looks like. Magic being casted in the woods. And this is just another After Effects type shot that can be recreated pretty easily. So all they're doing in multiple layers here, we'll look quickly, is they have the shot standard, you have the wand, and what they do is they're just adding some sort of optical flare. I mean, you can use really any plugin for this, but it's a pre-created flare pop. Might be a cork kit. What they do is record like corks exploding, and then they can record that on black and just key out the black, and then they've got these explosions here. And then what they do is you add that on top of the wand, you add a little glow light effect to give an ambient sort of glow, nice light touch there. And then they add more hits of light on the tree. You can see it's actually on this tree here. Initially it's not, but when they have it hit, it lights up the tree. And then what they do is a full overlay color correct, because what's happening is when this is being cast, when the spell is being cast, theoretically all of the woods would light up from this, including the camera. So everything lights up, sort of overexposes everything. You can see the grain because they're just brightening the whole shot. They add another light flare. This is basically your camera light flare. Because there's such a bright light, you're getting this streak of light on your camera lens. And then you can see the whole scene gets dark when the spell has been cast. It's a pretty cool, pretty easy effect, but obviously they use these magic effects all the time. It's a really nice look, and with sound effects, you make everything look good too. That's really cool. All right, so here it looks like we have a landscape shot. Wow. So let's just look at this beginning part here. This looks, obviously the owl is digitally added. But what's interesting is it looks, obviously the shot here is this massive landscape, but what you actually have going on here is just a miniature recreation of the set. Because look, first you've got your whole green screen flag here, green screen in the background, but look at this light. This is just a standard light. I mean, the light certainly isn't as big as a tower, so you have to assume that this light is probably, I don't know, it's probably this big, you know, the size of my head or two of my heads. So, and because that's matching the size of this tower, this is actually a miniature. not surprisingly, this isn't a real castle. So they've got a miniature set. They build out this full landscape, and they can throw back, aerial shots or whatever. It could be totally 3D created. And then it transitioned into this beautiful overlay here. Now, this is interesting because this actually has Harry, or whomever this is, walking. But Hagrid's hut is totally digitally created in the scene. You can see they've marked where it is, but it's totally recreated. Look, the owl and the whole hut are recreated. That's pretty cool. And then you cut to your closer shot. So that's your final look. But look, all of this. Wow, what is interesting? This whole pumpkin patch and everything, too, isn't even there. The pumpkin patch, the scarecrow, not there. Hagrid's hut, not actually there. The mountains look good, but this smoke and the chimney, it's all digitally created as they're walking down there. That's wild. Look at all these tracking points that they use. Wow. So this is all recreated. The road, the pumpkin patch, this sort of rock wall here, everything digitally added. Looks really good, especially when they add the color grade. The whole thing looks awesome. Looks very real. I didn't realize the hut wasn't actually there, at least in these wide shots. That's cool. Oh, now look at this. Look at this. Hold on. So the snitch. Now, this is interesting. I'm wondering why it's got it. Okay, so it is actually there. So what you can see here is it's on strings. So the ball part of the snitch is just floating on strings above him as he looks at it. So that gives him the eye line with it, because if it wasn't there, his eyes might not be looking in the right place. So he's looking at it. It's just sitting on strings. What they're doing here is painting out the strings. Then they bring the ball back and they add in the wings. And what's cool about the wings is ever since the first movie, the wings on the snitch have had this motion blur look to them. So they're just flapping so fast that it's basically just motion blur. And you can see here the comparison. So on the left, we have the original shot that's just the ball with the strings. And then on the right, the strings are bobbing up and down. So it gives it that flying motion. And the wings are just added in. Wow. That is cool, and obviously that's all digital there when they go back in. That is really cool. Looks really nice. Okay, we can speed along through this. Did a good job painting out those strings. What else do we have here? Oh, the moving staircases. Okay, so let's watch this. So they're walking up the stairs. So this is the final shot. Okay, so this is similar to the staircase that we saw earlier. It's this in this particular instance, they're using a blue screen. It's only one set of stairs, and I'm sure it's on a mechanical motor of some sort that's moving the stairway as they're walking up it. But what they do is totally get rid of the blue screen. Then they just add in a 3D environment that is all the other stairs. And then that's all done digitally. And then they can add in their lighting, their color grade, and it's as easy as that. And of course, they've got their moving camera. So they must have had just this set of stairs, this whole wall, and this set of stairs. Everything else in the scene is digitally created. That's pretty cool. Not surprised by this, but it looks good. Okay, so here we've got Voldemort breathing, almost like shooting out fire. Okay, now look at this. So a couple things to think about here. So obviously he has a real nose. So in every single scene he's in, they had to get rid of his nose. And what you can see, kind of, at least, is markings on his cheeks here and on his nose. It's a little hard to see on his nose, but those are just tracking points that they used to overlay this, which is, his non-nose nose. And they had to do this in every single shot. And what you can also see here is his wand has it's either a light or it's just a white tip. And that they get rid of too, so that they can use a brightness in the shot when he's casting a spell. Obviously, they add this nose and the eyebrows they take out as well. Or no, he does. That's makeup. Okay. Or no. I'm sorry. Now I'm. They do bring down his eyebrows a little on the color grade and his nose, make it fit the lighting of his actual face. Then they add in this fire, which looks good, and then give it a color grade that really brightens it up. But what's interesting about this whole thing is that in a shot like this, I mean, look at the final shot. The light goes from blue to orange. And what they need to do is actually light his face in that way. So you can see there's an orange light on his face. When they're shooting this, they need to make sure the lights that are hitting him, because there's no real magic, they need to make sure the lights that are hitting him are matching the colors of those spells he's going to cast. So they would have had to have a light that was a bluish green and then changed to orange as he's moving through this scene. That's pretty cool to think about, because they want to have a realistic reflection of the spell that he's casting. And obviously they can brighten it up here, but you can see in this, his face is, it's not orange. It's definitely a greenish. Then it turns. So that's interesting to think about how they actually lit this. Very cool. Oh, now here's a throwback scene. Okay, so look at this. So this is when Scabbers turns into Peter Pettigrew, jumps through the wall. So I'm guessing it's not a real rat, obviously, because that would be interesting. Jumps through the wall. Okay. So how do they do this? All right, so here's your original shot in which you've got these two are going throughout the scene. You've got these tracker points all over. They do a great job. Actually, I'm impressed there's nothing there, because they do a really good job with their eyesight. They're both looking at the perfect spot at the same time. So that sells the effect. Camera comes through. There's not even a real door on this that he dives through, a little hole in the wall that he dives through. So nothing's actually there. So that's all added. The rat is fake, jumps through, then he appears. And they add in this wall that it goes through, which is cool. That's cool. So that's all fake. And what I almost feels like is there's a cut or something that they then bring him into. Like they go... See here, they shoot this whole scene, then they almost get him in there and cut to it, and then can do this. Unless the wall's just, as we said before, just totally digital. But regardless, it's a great looking shot. Impressive. Okay, this is the last one we have. So this is Snape at Hagrid's hut. So this is obviously the close-up where the huts are actually built in the scene. They're burning down. Snape is casting a spell or deflecting a spell. The only things that are actually there are this foreground, the huts, these actors, and Snape. Everything else in the scene is digital. So they key out the blue. They have this 3D terrain. Wow. Which they add that background light. Add in their magic effects, which again are just those, these are all digital effects. You can make these in After Effects or use them and composite them over the scene. So they just drop this right on top. That's, wow. Look at this. So they have that foreground scene they shot that's keyed, they key out the blue, and they just throw it onto this background. And it looks fantastic. That's awesome. So I think that's all we have for the video, though. But pretty cool stuff that they did in these movies. If you have any other movies that you've seen with these, visual effects that you're interested in looking through or breaking down, let me know. We can try to look at those as well. But overall, the Harry Potter movies did so many wonders. Really got me inspired in my own sort of filmmaking career. So what they did here is really cool. It's impressive to see how they're able to make all of this look so real. And when you go back, some of these movies date almost 20 years old now, and some of the effects hold up really well and look super awesome. So what they were able to do is really impressive. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe for more videos on my channel. They come out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll check you back in the next one.